right, here we are for another great session today at TechShops here in India. So welcome everybody. We have Kshama Dhir here with us now, the global lead for EY GDS strategy and transactions service line that comprises over 2,800 professionals in India, Poland, China, Hungary, and Spain. Chama joined EY GDS back in 2007 and has a rich experience in business transformation, global operations, and the development of new and customer-centric solutions. She will be addressing the topic technology and sustainability today. Hello, welcome. How are you doing?
All good, Rita. How are you?
I'm doing well myself. Thank you for asking. The stage is all yours, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Rita, and thanks for inviting me to the Tech Jobs Fair. I think it's a very unique opportunity for us to connect with the broader audience. And what better topic than technology and sustainability is for the evening today. For the evening, from the time zone where I am talking from Gurgaon, which is a satellite town of Delhi, the capital of India. A very warm welcome to all the audience there. What I'm going to talk to all of you about is a topic which is, very close to my heart, but equally very pertinent in this time and age where, we are seeing advent of technology in almost everything that we are doing. Technology is part of our day-to-day life. We almost start our day with looking at our phones, going the digital way. Our alarm clocks, our digital clocks have turned into digital clocks. Our radios and TVs have all come into a small gadget called smartphone, and so on and so forth, and it's just endless. I often wonder, the area that satellite has covered is as good as what predictions earlier days, people who would do the crystal gazing would do. But I mean, that's so much for technology. But in the meanwhile, while we focused so much on technology, what we did not think through was how technology would impact the environment sustainability. And that's a topic in the last few years which have come to the forefront, and that to me is something which is so pertinent, because we need to have a right balance of moving up on a technology foray, moving up into new ways of working, into digital areas, etc., but equally conscious and cautious that we have our environment protected in a manner that we can sustain it for a longer period of time. I can tell you from corporates, from big government organizations, the focus is how do we look at having a sustainable environment as we go forward. I'm sure many of you would have heard the word ESG, which is again environment sustainability groups that we are looking at. And this is something which corporates are working across the globe very dedicatedly and in a very focused manner. So before I get into what I wanted to share with you and how technology is changing the way, I think it's very important for us to understand why sustainability is becoming a key differentiator. I mean, for just some of the background statistics, if we look at US is looking into 100% carbon neutrality by 2050. I mean, which is a huge statement for a country as big as the size of US, right? Circular economy is not something which is new to us. We are all talking of circular economy in many ways. I mean, I can tell you closer home in India, there are many startups who are working into circular economy. There are many provisions that the governments are doing across the globe, even in India, which is working across how do we sustain what we are doing, right? And how do we protect the environment? How do we protect the overall infrastructure for us as human race. And I think that is something we owe back to our coming generations, which is really, really critical for us. But what we look at is quite interesting is to accelerate this sustainability journey. I think one thing which came to our aid and help was in terms of how technology in the new age would help in some of these areas. And what I wanted to do was spend next 15 minutes just talking about technology, just technology in the sustainability world, and how a good balance between the two of them would be very critical as we go forward, and some of the works that the organizations across the globe, some of the newer age technologies which are coming in have been putting across, and then maybe open the floor for certain Q&A that we can pick it up. I hope all of you are able to see the screen that I have, that I have showcased, and are able to read it properly. Let's look at 4 or 5 areas where technology is playing a big role, or what we are calling as digital technology. Let's pick up areas which is a world challenge right now, in areas of air pollution, the water management, climate monitoring, some of those areas which is not only pertinent to one particular country but across the globe. Even so much so, some of the glaciers have started melting, which were earlier not the case, right? So it's important for us to sustain our environment, and that is why if you see certain artificial intelligence sensors, IoT sensors have been made to look at water management systems for distribution. We would have sensors to control our air pollutions. We look at what are the air pollution levels, how we can build it up for a more healthy air lives. So some of those areas is where technology is really making a foray. And what you will see is, as we go forward, this is an area which is very hugely invested by our governments, by our by agencies across the globe. Even areas like climate monitoring, things like pollution control, things like air quality. Those are the things which will start coming into foray as we go forward. And those are the areas where we would see more and more investment coming in. Rather, what is quite interesting is, I was talking to a few of the engineering graduates, undergrads, a few weeks back, and in a very similar forum. I was quite interesting and intriguing to see many of the undergrad students were wanting to make their contribution into this area. Rather, they're focusing more on doing a master's in these areas, or doing their research work and further development into these areas. So, I know many of the participants today would be in the similar age bracket and focus area. So that is one thing that I would recommend all of you to look into. I think the second kind of disruption that is coming through is in waste management. I'm not sure how many of you would have heard about it, but areas like solid waste converting into e-waste, or what you're calling a circular economies. I was talking to a couple of startups earlier this week or late last week into areas of plastic recycling, and how we can make sustainable wooden plies into those areas. And this is where technology and engineering comes into foray, wherein we have intelligent robotics, where we look at waste segregation solutions, dry waste and wet waste, look into areas where we can refurbish some of these waste products to build up the new consumables, or even to generate electricity at times. And it is quite intriguing to see how we are looking into some of these usage of technology. I'll tell you another use case of technology in this area, which is very pertinent in terms of food, is on the agricultural side. I'm sure many of you would have read the news articles that some of the countries did not take up exports sent by India, because the food, the component of chemicals in the food was high, because of the way the fertilizers were put in the plants, right? So I know there are many companies, the governments are funding quite a few projects wherein we are looking at what is the right way to have, uh, the spray of pesticides into our plants, so that these plants don't have the ill effects of all those pesticides, yet it is saved from the weeds and the pests thereon. So those would be all areas where agri-waste or food waste can be taken care of. And some of those productions don't go waste, because there's huge amount of land usage that goes into producing an agricultural product. There's equally huge amount of water usage which would happen, and needless to say, there are fertilizers, there's human effort, etc., etc. So some of those elements from a robotic standpoint would be very critical. Agri robotics, or agricultural products, or a food products testing, is another big area that we are focusing on, and EY as a firm is very closely working with some of the larger players in the market. to get into those sustainable products out in the market. Now, another area which is quite interesting and which I feel is something not very widely recognized as a sustainability area, but it has a huge impact, is our supply chain and the manufacturing entire network. Because what would happen is if we have an optimized supply chain network, based on cloud computing, based on advanced analytics, blockchain, etc., what it would look into is reduced usage of fuel, because you're optimizing the logistics part of it. You're optimizing the routes. You're optimizing the way a particular level of trucks would go from all the way from the base production to the factory and then to the retail outlets and further on to the houses, etc. And that is an area where it's significantly making an impact in the way we work. And what we see on a daily basis is the Fortune 500, Fortune 300 companies investing a lot in in making their supply chain more on sustainable patterns. And believe me, that is an area where we should start seeing a change as we go forward in the coming decade. This is an area of complete disruption, and technology has been at the forefront of bringing about the manufacturing and the supply chain disruption, where the first set of disruption came in, wherein we looked at the low cost countries where we can manufacture or get products supplied to low cost locations, now to looking at and optimizing the logistics network part of it. And some of the products that I've seen are coming out in the market are really state of the art, and which really changes the way we look at our entire network optimization. And that to me is a very apt example of how sustainability and technology can work hand in hand to take it further. Uh, I'm sure the last one that you see on the slide here is around urban sustainability. I'm sure, or if you guys and girls would want to type in the chat window, is on smart cities, sustainable cities. This is nothing new or segregated only to a particular country. But this is something which is across the world. We would see districts and districts coming together to work on smart and sustainable cities. I was actually traveling to Upper Himalayas almost a few weeks back. I was quite interesting to see some of the villages which are getting into the sustainable, the self-sustainable model, where they were using solar energy as part of their regular day-to-day energy consumptions. And some of those usage were really quite interesting. It's good to see how wind energy has been coming into foray, how IoT based infrastructure is making a huge difference in the way we construct or think of sustainable and smart districts and build it up from there, or optimizing the resources, including how do we look at even bringing in education to the districts where it is otherwise, it is in a far flung area, it is difficult to get there. So some of those elements really make coming up of technology and a sustainable environment for us a reality, rather than just a dream or a thought leadership paper that many of us would write and then work in those directions. So those are a few of the examples, a few of the opportunities that I do foresee as we go forward. There's definitely a lot of focus on building a greener world. How do we think of more sustainable business models? Like very recently, there's a global electronics manufacturer. I can't name it, but big company which is Fortune 800, amongst Fortune 800 companies, presence across 160 countries. And they are building a digital twin platform to innovate their business model, which is actually quite complex. And right now, it lacks effective monitoring tools. And imagine what kind of impact a digital twin in these areas can bring in. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is, and I'm conscious of time here, we've got 5 minutes for any Q&A. But what I'm trying to say is any sustainability process which is led digitally, which has a backing of strong technology, that definitely makes it a long run game. And that's an area to significantly invest on, not only on as corporate or as commons, but even for all of you as individuals who are looking forward to making your careers in technology. because that's the way to go. Innovation is not just about automation or building few robots or getting into just data and analytics, but equally taking care of our of our planet Earth, which without which none of us would sustain irrespective. So that would be in a summary that I would want to leave the group with. And I would really love to see how some of these ideas which are being implemented today, or the newer set of ideas which come in the future, change the way we operate in this world. So with that, Rita, I think I'm on time, and very open to questions for next 5 minutes or so.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Shama, for that. Very interesting topic indeed. And what you just said, innovation is also about taking care of our planet. I think that's a great takeaway. There's some questions I'm going to show on stage randomly. Can you see that one, Shama? Can you read it, please?
Absolutely, Shubham. Good point. Silicon garbage from Big Four point of view. I think we not only from Big Four point of view, but from industry at large, that is something that we definitely need to focus on, and it's an area we are continuously looking into. An area of I should not say just keen interest, but key investment for us as a as a fraternity, as a Big Four fraternity, and we can't take away our eyes from that. So yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Next one.
What impact on market and openings with 5G in India? Shubham, I would think with 5G coming into India and the way technology is making a foray into almost each and every aspect of our life, I think we should only have increased opportunities in India, both in terms of increased market. There are two ways to look at it. With 5G, we'll have increased consumptions also coming into our market. There is data which is already available. There are new set of technology which is already available on a regular basis. I think it's with 5G or the new 5G is just another set beyond 4G from a telecom world, but there would be new set of such technology coming in. I just see the world only expanding from here and picking up near opportunities. What it means is we need to be more smarter in our decision making, and the data would be available. We just really need to make that distinction between what is data dump, and what is the real set of information, and that I think is very critical. And I do look forward to forums like this and intelligent people on forums like these to help us make those technological interventions in the way we work.
Very good. Thank you. I think we have time for another one. Let me just show this briefly. There's someone with a raising hand. Let's invite them on stage. Hello, are you there? Hi, Deep, are you there? You can ask your question now. You're on stage.
The question is basically, I'm presently working as a technical support manager in TCS. So my question is, going through all the digitalization of technologies, with the impartment of cloud like AWS and all those GCP and all those things, what impact does this have on the physical infrastructure platforms like the servers and uh, the all the structures, the softwares which were the previous structures which were being used even till from a year till now? What is the overall impact?
See, the good question, a very valid one, but the sheer nature of technology. Let me give this answer two ways. One is technologically, another is philosophically. The sheer nature of technology would help us, or would enable us to move from physical infrastructure to cloud-based infrastructure, and some of the servers and other elements that you're mentioning, and all of us know at the pace at which technology is changing, that would change the way it is currently being looked at, the shape and form. Even, I mean, today as we look at it, right? Most of the workforce is not working from the offices. They're still working from home or remote locations, which basically means we need to expand our network to enable more connectivity across. So I would think this would lead to good changes. Now, good is very relative term, but this would lead to many changes in the industry, whether we are going more cloud way, whether, who knows, tomorrow cloud is an obsolete technology and there is a new technology which comes in. So some of those elements would change, our way of operations would change. And very philosophically speaking, I don't think about 10 years back we used to have this physical server-based technology that we had the luxury of in the last decade and a half. So now this was bound to change, and change is the only essence of life which would remain constant. So I would think that is something we all need to accept and embrace with open hearts. I don't know, Dibya, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And maybe one last question. You can leave the stage now. Thank you very much. Let me go and check here. There's this question here. Maybe. Last one, please.
Yeah, I'm not able to read the complete question, Rita. I can just read, I want to start my career in computer technology. After 12 years of academic gap, I'm not able to read after that. Should I?
Okay. Should I try something or continue whatever I'm doing? So, what would your advice be?
What I would say, Ravi, is do start with where your key strengths are. But this time and age, you would have many courses that you can enroll while you're working in your job, and many of them are online courses on various platforms like Udemy, etc. Pick up few courses of interest, do a good research, and while you're continuing to build on what your strengths are, it is imperative for all of us to upskill ourselves, because some of the technology that you were doing few years back might not be relevant today. As what Dibya was asking in the previous question, many of the things, technology is an ever evolving space, right? So you need to upskill yourself with the new age of technologies, new ways of working. Having said that, I'm sure a few years of experience would have got you some certain strengths. Do try out, but alongside, do a concurrent way of upskilling yourself. I hope I answer your question there.
Very good. Thank you very much. I would end the session now, not before thanking you, Kshama, once more for all the insightful thoughts that we shared here, and the audience for their questions and participating. Thank you. We'll have a break, and we will continue with the sessions afterwards. Stick to our schedule to see what's next, and enjoy the event. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you for the opportunity.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
All
you.
the best, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.